Hey everybody, we're back with a special episode of Away Message because of the NFL Draft and, spoiler alert, you don't have to care at all about the NFL Draft to enjoy it, I think. Anyway, this podcast is now part of the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. You can find out what that is by heading over to ncrabbithole.com. Okay, here's the show. I became a Carolina Panthers fan almost 2 decades ago because it was better than being a Cleveland Browns fan. And over that time, I've endured some really ridiculous but oddly charming songs about the Panthers. Like this one.
Stand and cheer for the Panthers. Stand and cheer for the team.
There's also this one, which is a rap song that really brings the big dad energy.
The Carolina Panthers bringing the pain. The Carolina fans got them going insane.
And there's this, which was uploaded to YouTube by a Panthers fan from Gaston County, North Carolina's spiritual capital.
You got a lick of sense. You dig the NFL, my lyrics and my rhymes. You eat up what I'm saying, spit and fly hip-hop lines. Lightning fast, big black cats, Panthers kicking ass.
They all have one common thread, one thing that ties them together. In fact, if there was any sound, any noise, any audio signature associated with the Carolina Panthers, it is this. That screaming panther is played all the time, after first downs, after touchdowns, after third down stops, interceptions. Whenever the Panthers do anything good, you hear that sound. Now, I should disclose here that I am more than just a fan. For years, I was the producer of the Panthers postgame show on a television station in Charlotte. Eventually, that job brought me to Bank of America Stadium every Sunday night, and I got to know a pretty good amount of Panthers employees. During that time, I heard something I was not expecting, something that had me doubting everything I knew about the team. That sound, that Panthers scream, apparently, I was told, that is not the sound that a panther makes. I didn't do anything with that information for a long time because, honestly, what do you do with that information? This is such a small detail, such an unimportant thing in the grand scheme of things. That sound doesn't win games, it doesn't sell tickets, it's just sort of an interesting data point in the broader Carolina Panthers universe. And yet, man, you hear it all the time. And so recently I thought, if that sound is not the sound a panther makes, then what is it? Well, that question took me down an even deeper rabbit hole. One that shook my foundation to its core.
The problem is there's no such thing as a panther. That's the biggest problem.
From the North Carolina Rabbit Hole, this is Away Message, a podcast about weird and wonderful stuff from the greatest state in the country. I'm Jeremy Markovich. At this point, it is probably worth talking about how the Panthers got their name. It came from the team's founder, Jerry Richardson.
Very early, he made it clear that he liked that name.
This is Tom Sorensen. He's retired now. What do you got going on for the rest of the day?
Oh, man, whatever I want.
Before he retired, he was a sports columnist for the Charlotte Observer, who covered the Panthers from the beginning.
There was something about the alleged animal that moved him, a power or grace or speed that he thought would represent the team. And you've seen the statues outside the stadium. I mean, those are cool looking.
Richardson wanted that name for a very long time. In fact, here's how long. The team played its first game in 1995, but 6 years before that, Richardson put a license plate on his car that read Panthers. When he was interviewed in 1992, he made it clear the Panthers was going to be the name of the team. If he was, actually able to land an NFL team. He also insisted that the colors would be blue and black to match the stadium he was building. Now, not everything went smoothly. The NFL wasn't crazy about black jerseys because, and remember this is the early 90s here, the league was worried that black was synonymous with gang colors. Things got worked out. They changed the jersey colors, but kept the Panther name, and in 1995, the team was born.
At this point, I think I'll introduce Jerry Richardson.
I think the first thing I'd like to say that obviously this is a dream come true for me, and especially a dream come true for 10 million people back in the Carolinas that have been with us every step of the way, and I'm very grateful for that.
I just remember this joy. Here's the most popular sport in the country, and now Charlotte gets to be part of it.
Yeah, they could have named it anything, and probably people would have been happy just to have a team, sounds like.
Except Tar Heels.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Or Blue Devils, maybe. And sometime after that, Tom isn't sure when exactly, the Panthers' screaming noise makes its debut. How would you describe how that noise fits into sort of like Panthers lore, like the little things that make up the Panthers experience?
If you ranked it, it would be like among other parts of lore receiving votes. I mean, it wouldn't be way up there. It's just, I don't think it's cool. It's just sort of numbing. You're used to it. It's like hearing ice drop in the refrigerator. Okay, there it is again, more ice. It's not. There are cool things about the Panthers. Yeah, a lot of which can be attributed to Sam Mills, but that, to me, it's just there.
But did you have any reason, had you ever even given a second of thought to the fact that, like, maybe this isn't a real Panther noise?
No. No, I haven't.
Coming up, science, and the rest of the story when Away Message continues. A quick break to remind you that this podcast has a new home at the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. If you like what you've been hearing here, I think you will like my weekly newsletter. It comes out every Thursday. It's about strange North Carolina stuff, and it is free if you want it to be. Again, that's the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. Check out the newsletter, the stories, and this podcast at ncrabbithole.com. This is Away Message. I'm Jeremy Markovich. So, if this noise is not the noise made by a panther, then what is it? Well, first off, you have to wrap your head around this fact.
The problem is there's no such thing as a panther. That's the biggest problem.
That is Jen Ireland, the curator of mammals at the North Carolina Zoo, the woman you heard from earlier.
Panther is not a species of cat.
Uh-huh.
There is no panther. So that's the bigger issue, I think, right?
Yeah. Well, take me through this, because I know very little about large cats other than, just that, like, whatever a panther noise is, it's not that. But if you go back even further, there's no such thing as a panther. So how could there be a panther noise?
Correct, right? So a black panther is usually just the melanistic version of either a jaguar or a leopard.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no such thing as a panther.
Quick time out. Melanistic means a rare abundance of pigment in the skin that would turn the fur black.
So the sound that the panther thing makes is probably not right, because both jaguars and leopards roar. They don't scream.
Okay.
But if they're calling the panther, the issue is then you've got the cougar.
Okay.
Right, and the cougar has 800,000 names. It's probably the mammal in the world that has more names than anything else. And one of the names people call it is a panther.
Got it.
And those panthers, in terms of cougars, they do not roar; they scream. So the question is what is the panther of the Carolina Panthers? What is it? Is it a jaguar? Is it a cougar? Or is it a leopard? That's the problem, because each one of those animals is going to make a different sound.
Do you know what the Carolina Panthers, like the logo, looks like?
Yes.
So what does that resemble to you, as far as, like, so if it's not a panther, or if it's a panther but it's not actually a panther, what does it kind of look like to you?
I mean, I'm gonna pull it up just so I can look at it at the same time and tell you what I think it looks like. I mean, all cats pretty much look the same, right?
Yeah.
All I keep seeing is how bad the Carolina Panthers are doing this year.
I know.
Also, one more quick timeout. I talked to Jen during the last football season, by the way. The Panthers finished 7-10.
I mean, you could probably get cougar experts on here, leopard experts on here, and jaguar experts on here, and they would give you a different answer every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it looks like a cat. It looks like a big cat.
Why do different types of cats make different kind of noises? Is it just the way that they evolve?
It's anatomy, right? Yeah. So there's cats are kind of broken into two categories. There's the roaring cats and the purring cats. So roaring cats are animals like your leopard, your jaguar, your lion, and your tiger. And those are pretty much your big, those are your big four, right? And they roar. And then cougars and cats that are smaller than that, they purr. They cannot roar. They can only purr. So if you can purr, you can't roar. And if you roar, you can't purr. Interesting. The hard thing here is with this, whatever species they're calling this panther, is if they're calling it a leopard or a jaguar, then it can roar. If they're calling it a panther, it can't roar, but it can scream. It has a screaming. That's what their natural sort of aggressive sound is. It's more like a scream.
All right, so I just sent you the sound.
I don't know what that sounds like.
Now, I did get a second opinion here. Suzanne McLaren at the Carnegie Museum of Natural History wrote me to say that she also thinks the screaming Carolina Panther actually sounds like a cougar, specifically the Puma concolor. She also says she really doesn't understand this whole panther isn't a real animal thing, because mammal experts tend to be a lot less strict about names than, say, bird experts. But the cougar does go by a lot of different names. In fact, here are some of them. Panther, painter, mountain lion, puma, catamount, which sometimes refers to bobcats and lynx, Indian devil, Alleghanian cougar, Adirondack cougar, American lion, Pennsylvania lion, brown tiger, bender, that is Pennsylvania Dutch, tiger tail, and long-tailed cat. So yes, there was once an animal that people called the Carolina Panther that roamed this state. It was basically the same animal as the Nittany lion, you know, the Penn State Nittany lion. Today, though, most scientists think that the cougar is functionally extinct across most of the southeast and only exists in the wild way down in the south of Florida. Okay, so just to sum things up here, the things that people usually call black panthers are actually leopards or jaguars, and those big cats roar. But they can't scream. However, a cougar can scream like this. But nobody anywhere on Earth has ever seen what was confirmed to be a black cougar. So, in conclusion, the Carolina Panther, the one on the 50-yard line at Bank of America Stadium, is either the wrong color or it's making the wrong sound. And last thing here, not to pile on, but the team has, from time to time, brought in what it calls live panthers to games and events. Now, the guy who provides those live panthers says, via his website, that the live Carolina Panther you see on the field or in videos is actually a black leopard. So, there's that. But all of that information doesn't answer a very basic question. That sound, the actual sound effect that the team plays at games, where does that come from? The answer, believe it or not, Janet Jackson. Now, if you know of any Janet Jackson connection to the Panthers, it is probably this. She performed during the infamous Super Bowl halftime show in 2004, during the same game that Carolina lost to New England. But what most people don't know, and this was confirmed to me by several people, is that the screaming cat sound comes from the beginning of a Janet Jackson song called, appropriately, Black Cat. that sound effect is identical to the one being played at the stadium. And with that, I am closing this case. Although I just want to point one last thing out. That song came from the Rhythm Nation 1814 album, which was released in September of 1989. 3 months later, Jerry Richardson got a license plate that said Panther on his car. Now, I'm not saying that the team name came from a Jerry Richardson, Janet Jackson jam session, but, I'm not saying that.
It started in Chicago, born in the fiery flames. He walked out of a volcano, inches from his grave. His father was a grizzly bear, calling out his own kind, cutting his teeth in the 1980s, the beginning of his life. Riverboat Ron, he went for it all. It was 4th and 1, and he went for it all. Riverboat Ron, back against the wall. It was 4th and 1, and he went for it all.
Away Message is a production of the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. You can sign up for a free weekly newsletter about more weird North Carolina stuff at ncrabbithole.com. If you want to support stories and podcasts like this one, consider becoming a paid subscriber to the North Carolina Rabbit Hole. Again, all of that is at ncrabbithole.com. This episode was mixed by James Michkowski and produced by me and James. If you like this show or other shows you've been listening to, leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Thank you to Jen Ireland and the North Carolina Zoo, Suzanne McLaren and the Carnegie Museum of Natural History, and to Tom Sorensen, who, even though he's retired, still knows breaking news when he sees it.
A panther is like a term that refers to other kinds of cats, but there's no species of panther. There's no panther species. They're all cougars, jaguars, or leopards, or other things.
This constitutes breaking news because I had no idea. I don't think anybody knew. And you broke it.
I'm Jeremy Markovich. Thanks for listening, and go Panthers, whatever you are. See you next time.